I would like to thank Kia Underwoods in Colchester for lending me this, the Kia Picanto. Many manufacturers are axing their city car from their lineup, but Kia still offers one, and I'm going to review it, starting with the looks. This is the front. This is the GT line model, so it has bits of red here and lights down here. This is the side. It's about 1.5 meters tall. That's about 4'11". This one has some red down here because it's the GT line model, but not all get that. But they all have 5 doors. So doors at the back as well as the front. And this is the rear. Fake exhausts. Make of them what you will, but depending on which model you get, you don't have to have them. On this one, there is a reversing camera here, and you open the boot like so, revealing 255 litres of space. That is big for this size of car. A Fiat 500, a car of a similar size, has only 185 litres. And if I remove this rear parcel shelf, let's see if I can do this one-handed. And there's pretty easy. Lower the rear seats, I'll get 1,010 litres of space. But there is quite a step there where the rear seats are. Oh, and there's even space for a spare wheel just under this floor. I'm not sure how much it costs, but if I find out, I'll put it on screen. There are 2 engine choices. Both of them are 1 litre 3-cylinder petrols, one with a turbo and one without. Most of them get the engine without the turbo. It has 66 brake horsepower without a turbo and 104 Newton meters of torque. In a manual, it gets from 0 to 60 in 14.1 seconds, but in the automatic, it's 16.6 seconds. And the manual does about 58 miles to the gallon, and the automatic does about 52. But if you get the top spec GT Line S model, you get the turbo variant. That gets 99 brake horsepower and 172 Newton meters of torque. Drops the 0 to 60 time down to 9.9 seconds, and that does 53 miles to the gallon. Let's see how easy it is to get in and out of this car. So it's a small car, but that's quite a big opening. Getting in is a slight step down, but I can put my foot on the floor and get out easy enough. The rear door, moment of truth, quite wide. It's not 90 degrees, but never really is 90 degrees. Decent sized opening, and yeah, not banging my head or anything, pretty easy. In the back, I'm pleased to say these seats are comfortable. The driver's seat is set in my position. I'm 5'10", that's 178 centimeters. I'm longer in the torso than I am in the leg, and I have 1 finger's worth of knee room, but my feet do go under the seat in front, so I am comfortable. There is a seat pocket here, but not one here. The door card is all hard plastic, but it does feel sturdy, some gloss plastic there. No rear door bin or rear cup holder. If I close the door and open the window, how far down does it go? Ooh, all the way. Is it automatic? No, you have to hold the button to get it to go up. There is no armrest back here as usual in a city car, and no lights at the top, but you do get some grab handles. How about the front? How easy is it to get comfortable? So, seat all the way back. I can still operate the car, but I could be quite a bit taller and still be comfortable. All the way forwards. My knees aren't touching the dashboard, but it's close, and there is just over the length of my foot between the seat and the brake. That's quite normal. So I'm going to put this where I want it. Height-wise, how high does it go? Well, that's the top. I have it near the top, and I've got just over a hand's width between my roof and my head and the roof. All the way down. And now I have about 2, so there's about this much difference between the bottom and the top. Let's get this roughly where I want it. Steering wheel, no in and out, but up and down quite a bit actually. There's a lot of adjustment there, and I do get height adjustment on the seat belt, which is nice. And the backrest isn't a wheel type, it is a lever type, so you can go back quickly, but there are steps to its adjustment, whereas when you have a wheel you can infinitely adjust it. Head restraint, ooh, that's very high, and then it does go all the way down, so there's no gap between the backrest and the head restraint. Now for a detailed view of the front interior, and I'm going to start with this door. Hard plastic, soft, fake leather, hard plastic, but it does feel of good quality and it is sturdy. Electric windows and mirrors, door locks, window locks, and this button folds in and unfolds the wing mirrors. Some nice satin chrome on the door handle. If I come down here, we have the height for the headlights, traction control, and the tyre pressure monitoring to reset it. This air vent, I can't adjust the intensity, but I can go up and down, left and right, and if I push it all the way down, it does turn off. Some gloss plastic round here. All the plastics in this interior, they are hard, but they do feel sturdy. Satin chrome stripe here. Steering wheel is nice, really good size and shape, comfortable to hold, and on this one the red stitching looks good. Tachometer for the revs and speedo. You've got a digital instrument cluster in the middle you can change with these buttons, and this is where the cruise control will be as well if the car had cruise, but this one doesn't, and that's how you control your stereo and your phone. Auto lights on this one. I can't see any models with auto wipers though. The indicator stalk feels okay. It's not that damped, but it's not horrible either. This screen, nice and bright, medium resolution, but it is responsive. Some gloss background here. More air vents, side to side, up and down. Can I turn them off? Yep, if I click them all the way to the side, but I can't adjust the intensity. Hazard warning switch, manual air conditioning. The base spec doesn't get air conditioning. You can get climate control, this one doesn't have it. Heated window, and you actually get somewhere to put your phone, which is handy. USB port for the Android Auto, 12-volt socket. Down here is a wireless charger in some models, 2 little cup holders that you can make bigger if you turn it around, or it doesn't make them bigger, but it turns the space into a bigger area, and you press the button if you want the cup holder feature to come back. There's your auto stop start button. This lever for the robotized manual is very soft and easy to use. You don't have to press the button to go between drive and neutral. You do have to press it if you want to go to reverse, but not if you want to come out. Manual handbrake. Don't see them very often these days. That has some padding. It's quite comfy actually. And inside, that's what you get for storage. It's about as deep as the length of my hand. Glove box. Oh, that's not damped, but it's a decent size. You may want to let that down gently yourself. Manual night mode on the interior mirror. I don't think you can get an automatic dimming mirror on this car. Basic light here and very basic roof lining. It does feel cheap, but that's normal on a car like this. What about the sun visors? Yep, and mirror, but no lights on this one. Same on the passenger side. There are 6 models of Picanto to choose from. Choosing which one you want isn't actually that straightforward. It's not a case of I'm going to get the top spec. It depends what you want to go for. I'm going to try and sum it up as easily as I can. You get 2 base models, the 1 and the 2. That's what they're called, the 1 and the 2. The 1 is £13,400 and doesn't even have air conditioning. It has black plastic mirrors and door handles, 2 speakers. It does get Bluetooth and a USB, but not a lot, and it's only available as a manual. All of them get torque vectoring though, which is interesting because there's not much power available. Torque vectoring basically helps you stay in a straight line if you accelerate hard when it's slippery. Front wheel drive, low power, probably not really needed, but it's nice to know it's there. If you go for the 2, the other base spec model, you get alloy wheels now instead of steel wheels. You get air conditioning, you get the coloured wing mirrors and door handles, 4 speakers instead of 2, a 4.2-inch black and white screen instead of a 3.8-inch black and white screen, not touchscreen. Better material in the interior, premium cloth. Steering wheel controls, leather on the wheel, leather on the gear knob or the drive selector in the automatic, height adjustable driver's seat, height adjustable seat belt, and you can get it in a robotized manual. So out of the 2 base spec models, I think the 2 is better, and it's only, what's that, £700-ish more? Not a huge amount of money there for a lot more car. Then you have 2 options. If you want to go further than that, you can go towards luxury or you can go towards sportiness. For luxury, you have the 3 or the X-Line S. The 3 is 15,650 and the X-Line S is 17,400. If you want to go sporty, which is more styling than kit, you get the GT line, which is 15,300, or the GT line S, which is 17,450. To give you an idea what you get when you go for the luxury arm, the 3 gets climate control, 6 speakers, which actually are quite good. I was surprised. Not brilliant, but surprisingly good for a city car with 6 speakers. Cruise control, folding mirrors, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a reversing camera. Go to the top spec luxury version, the X-Line S, you get 16-inch alloy wheels, heated front seats, heated wheel, some different styling, and a wireless phone charger. If you want to go towards the sporty line, the GT line, mostly you're paying for styling. So you get this red and black fake leather interior, some red stitching here, and different styling with flashes of red on the outside. So the GT line gets 16-inch alloys, privacy glass, projector headlights, sports styling, LED rear lights, again it's all styling there, twin fake exhausts, and the 8-inch screen. So the luxury arm and the sporty arm of your options do get the 8-inch screen. You don't get that on the base models. If you go for the top spec model, which is probably the one I would choose, you get the 99 brake horsepower engine, only available with a 5-speed manual, but you get 16-inch alloys, climate control, rear parking sensors, keyless entry, cruise control, heated front seats and wheel, and a wireless charger. So you pretty much get the lot. Value for money though, I think the 3 is the pick of the bunch, but the best one, well, I think it's the GT Line S for £17,450. Now for the driving, and I'm going to start with manoeuvring. So foot on the brake, pull it back to D, manual handbrake off. I know this automatic has a creep function, but the question is, how easy is it to stay super slow, like half a mile per hour when you're trying to park? I'll test it. Coming off the brake, it's going faster. It's a bit too fast. I want to slow down. No, it's gone to a stop. Less brake, starting to go a bit quick, so a little bit more brake, and no, it goes to a stop. You can't maintain a super slow speed. It doesn't allow you to slip the clutch, which is probably a good thing because the clutch will last longer, but it's a bad thing because it means that you have to keep speeding up and slowing down when you're creeping. I have driven some robotized manuals that allow you to slip the clutch so much that you'd burn it out, but this car doesn't seem to allow you to do that, which is good if you don't really know what you're doing with a manual transmission and you're driving this automatic, because it's not going to allow you to damage it. Generally speaking, robotized manuals, it's better to drive them if you know how to drive a manual as well. This one, I think, even if you had an only automatic license, you could still drive it okay. How fast does it want to creep though? So if I come off the brake, 1 mile an hour, 2 mile an hour, 3 mile an hour, so it goes up to 3. That's too quick for parking, so you will have to keep stopping and starting with the brake to stay slow. What about reverse? Is that any slower? 0, 1 mile per hour, 2 miles per hour, so a bit slower, a bit more usable there. What about the turning circle? Well, I'm not sure, couldn't find it in the literature, but let's find out. Put it into D, 1 turn 0.3 of the wheel for fully turned, and whoa, that's tight. That's a small turning circle. I might even make it all the way around here. No way. Woo, close, but I made it. I would say that's probably 9 meters. That's a small turning circle. Rear visibility, oh, that's good. See out the back and to the side, some blind areas near the C-pillars, and if you get one with a camera, it's even easier. Oh, and if you're interested, yes, the cup holders at the front do fit a ½ litre bottle. Driving on some out of town roads now, I've reset the trip computer to see what economy it gets. I'm in a 40 zone at the moment. I like the way it handles. It is light, it's around about 1,000 kilos and it's darty. It seems to ride the road pretty well. It's not super smooth, but it doesn't bounce and it's not jarring. It is controlled. Gearbox just changed down a gear there, was a little bit slow to do that. Foot to the floor now, actually, that was pretty good. It changed down quite quickly there when I floored it, braking for this corner. Get around this bend and just floor it again. I'm in 3rd. Let's kick down to 2, gear 2. This car's supposed to have a 0 to 60 time of 16.6 seconds. Now, it's definitely not fast, but it feels faster than that. I would have thought 13, 14 seconds. Just like the steering of it, how it rides the road. For a small car, it feels bigger. Doesn't quite feel like a Golf, that kind of car, but it's not far off. It doesn't feel like a tinny, tiny city car. It's actually quite fun. The gearbox is slow. Single clutch robotised manuals are slow, but I've had a lot slower. It's all right, and it's quite smart. It seems to know what gear I want most of the time. Every so often, I do want to get going and it goes up a gear as I want it to go down a gear, but that's just the way these robotised manuals work. They can't predict exactly what you're about to do. That's where driving a manual does give you that little bit more control over the situation. It's always trying to guess, what gear do you want next? And it may think, oh, you're cruising, I'll go up a gear, and then you suddenly put your foot down. Oh, no, I've got to go down a gear, and it's having to undo what it's just done. Fairly smooth gear changes. I would say like a mediocre driver, not like a high-skilled driver, but not like a terrible driver either, like some robotised manuals are. Remember, this is an automatic, this is a manual gearbox, but with a robot put on the gearbox to do the clutch and the gears for you with a brain, some software to figure out how to do it. Okay, no one behind, time for a launch. Let's see if it can make 60 before I get up the hill. I doubt that very much. So stop, no driving modes, it's safe to go, or the engine's turned off, I'll turn it on to make it fair. And let's go, floored. That is 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, now it's 50, 55, and no, it's not reaching 60 before I have to slow down a little bit before that bend. Doesn't feel like over 16 seconds though. I like the character of the 3-cylinder engine. Makes a pleasing sound. It's not the smoothest 3-cylinder. I have had a lot worse, but it's not the best. There are some better 3-cylinders out there now which are just a little bit smoother, particularly at idle. You can feel just a slight vibration coming through the steering wheel. It's not like 3-cylinders of 20 years ago where the whole car would sort of shake like this. It is subtle, but you know it's there. You are reminded that you haven't got a 4-cylinder. You do have the option to go up and down the gears yourself by moving the drive selector to the right. Then I can pull back to go down, back again to go down another, or push forwards to go up a gear. That's the wrong way round in my opinion. Back is up and forwards is down. It's also suggesting what gear I go to, but I'm having to think about it because it's the opposite way to what I'm typically used to. Flappy paddles usually do work better, left for down, right for up. But I do like just how this car handles. It does feel like a bigger, more premium car than a city car. It's how it rides the road. It's a well, it's a small hole there. Yeah, just went over those holes and it was fine. This road's terrible, this bit here. And I don't know, I think this is probably doing better than my Seat Leon, which is a much bigger, more expensive car. Yeah, I think this is actually handling these bumps a little bit better. So I've just finished the country road, the normal route I do, including a launch, and it got 44 miles per gallon, which is not bad considering how I was driving it. I've taken the car to a hill because it is an automatic and I want to see how it handles it. So foot on the brake, into D, handbrake off. What happens when I take my foot off the brake? Nothing. It has heel hold assist. Or it rolls back a bit and then it goes forward slowly and it's going 1 mile per hour, 2 mile per hour and 3. I can't keep it really slow though. If I press the brake, yeah, it just goes to a stop and then you come off the brake and it accelerates up to 3. You can't keep that really low speed because that would be slipping the clutch. So the clutch will definitely last a long time in this automatic. It doesn't allow you to slip the clutch when you're parking or when you're going uphill. What about if I come off the brake and hit the gas? Will it get going quickly or is it going to stumble? Let's see. Pretty good. Smooth. That's a good start. That's a good start even for a very accomplished manual driver. Good clutch control, well done. I'm now on the urban route. Primarily this route is uphill, not by much, but you finish slightly higher than where you start. If the car gets more than 40 miles to the gallon, it's done particularly well. At the moment it's at 58.6, which is quite impressive. I don't think it's going to stay that high, we'll see. If you want to smooth out the gear changes on this robotised manual, just come off the gas a little bit as it changes gear, and that will smooth things out. That's usually the case with these gearboxes, but the way I tend to do it is I accelerate, and when it's fast enough for the next gear, I tend to just reduce the gas a little bit, and the robot usually takes that opportunity to quickly change gears whilst I don't need power. That is a smooth way to change gear, but also it's a way I can tell the car to change gear when I want it to. If you're not a manual driver though, don't worry, you don't have to think about it, just press the gas and go, but it won't be quite as smooth. I'm now in traffic where the stop-start system is going to be tested and the creep function. The stop-start system is a little bit intrusive. You do hear it kick into life and feel a slight vibration go through the car, and it does delay your getaway just a bit. You can't get going quite as quickly as you could if the engine was already running. The creep function makes it a little bit harder to do the chauffeur finish stop. Yeah, but it's still just about possible. But because the creep wants to push you forwards as you're trying to stop, as you're releasing the brake to smooth out the finish of the stop, it does want to get going again. So getting that correct level of braking for a smooth stop is a lot harder than it is in a manual. Overall though, the creep function is pretty good. Come off the brake, rolls up to about 3 miles an hour, and you can use the brake to stop again. In traffic, it works well. It works better in traffic than it does when I'm parking. I am nitpicking here though. So the car's just turned itself off. When it did that, there was a slight vibration or shudder that went through the car. And now come off the brake to turn it on. Yeah, the car just shudders a little bit, it kicks into life, and then it gets going. It's probably less than a second in it before coming off the brake and actually moving. Maybe a second, I haven't timed it. It's not instantaneous like in an electric car, but it's not really a long delay either. What's great about driving these little cars is when you have narrow lanes and not much space, it feels like there's more space than usual. And when you want to go around a mini roundabout, it's a lot easier. It wants to go into 5th gear when you're a little bit above 30, but you've been staying at that speed for a while. If you go just above 30 and come back down again, it doesn't bother. When I'm doing 40 in 5th gear, which is top gear, the revs are around about 2000 RPM. I'll slow it down to 30 now and see what the revs are like at 30 miles an hour. So 30 miles an hour, the revs are about 1500 RPM. But it does want 4th gear if I need to accelerate at all at 30. It can't stay in 5th gear. Really good visibility around here. Easy to see what's coming round the roundabout. And yeah, big wing mirrors, easy to see what's next to me. And if I check over my shoulders, the blind spot, well, the blind spot on the left is easy to see, but the blind spot on the right is a little bit harder because of this. It's quite a bit further forward than I'm used to, so yeah, I do need to lean forwards a little bit to look round this B pillar. I am thoroughly impressed with this car. Cruise control and climate control would be nice, because I do keep having to turn this thing up and down because I keep making myself hot and cold, and I'm used to having climate control. And when I'm in boring stretches of road like this, I do like to press a button and it just to keep me going, particularly radar cruise control, because then it keeps that distance between me and the car in front, and I can watch the road instead of having to worry about my speed. But you don't have to pay that much more to get it. And the Picanto 3, which is the same price as this one, this is the GT line, about the same price, does get it. So if it was my money and I could only spend £15,500, that would be the one I would get. But if I could afford the top spec one at £17,500, I would get that one, because that extra performance, that sounds enjoyable. There's plenty of space down here where the pedals are. There's a footrest for my left foot, although I do feel that's a little bit high for me, so I'm actually finding it more comfortable if I put it actually on the floor and I can stretch my leg out a little bit more. But the gas and the brake is well spaced, and the brake pedal is nice to use. It's not too snatchy at the top, and there's not much dead space. The gas pedal as well is smooth. It's not jerky. It's easy to drive. In general, this car is very easy to drive. This little car has impressed me round town. It dealt with the bumps well, the seats are comfortable, it was relatively quiet, and I got 48.1 miles per gallon, and the traffic was worse than usual. I was thinking 41, 42 maybe if I was lucky. It's just a normal 1 litre 3-cylinder engine with an automated manual transmission. No fancy hybrid here. I guess lightweight does count for something. Coming up to a 70 mile per hour road now, so I will reset the trip computer. And let's see how it does. Well, it's a bit bumpy, but it dealt with it fine. This is one of the smoother cars I've driven for a little while. It doesn't seem to fidget very much. And round the roundabouts, yeah, it's pretty flat. It feels flat. And I'm going 35 miles an hour there. Okay, so I'm in 5th gear, foot flat to the floor. Now I'm in 2nd gear. Quite impressed with that gear change. 50 miles an hour. It's definitely not quick, but it's quick enough. 60, and let's merge with the traffic. 65. It's actually quite enjoyable getting to drive an engine hard. No driver aids, this is all me. Oh, obviously the automated manual, I guess that's a driver aid. Road noise, a bit louder than usual. You can hear the difference between this and, say, a Golf, for example. There does seem to be less sound deadening, which is what you would expect in a smaller car like this. This is a noisy surface though, but this is a bit louder than usual. Looks like I can change lane now, but it doesn't look like I'm actually going much quicker in this lane. Nearly 70 miles an hour now, already 39.2 miles per gallon, even though I just floored it for quite some time down that slip road. Stays in a straight line. Yeah, it's not pulling to one side, it's not tram lining. Some cars have a habit of following every groove in the road, which can be quite tiring as you're constantly having to correct it, but this is easy. Nowhere to put my arms though, because the armrest is not adjustable. I can't raise it or move it forwards. So yeah, to put my arm on the armrest, can't really reach the steering wheel. And the armrest here was a bit better, but my hand is a little bit low on the wheel. But that is usable there if I wanted to give my arm a rest. Just better if it was a little bit higher. Because the road noise is a bit more than I'm used to, I thought I would test out the sound system to see if it can get over the roar from the tyres, and I'm happy to say it succeeded. This one has 6 speakers. Google suggested Connor Engstrom, Into the Unknown epic metal cover. Quite enjoyed it actually. Certainly drowned out the road noise. I've been doing over 24 miles now, and I am getting a little bit of a sore leg because I'm having to control the gas pedal due to a lack of cruise control, and the gas pedal is just a bit closer than I would like it to be. If I had cruise, I wouldn't have to worry about it because I put my foot on the floor, but as I'm having to regulate the gas, I am noticing. So, coming to the end of my 70 mile an hour trip now, 52.9 miles per gallon, and I was doing 70 for most of it. I've pulled over into the left lane here because I know I'm leaving, so I've gone down to about 60, but most of that was close to 70 miles an hour. So, my thoughts on the Kia Picanto. Well, round town, it deals with bumps well, it's comfortable, it's relatively quiet, and it's economical. It's also manoeuvrable, and for its size, it has an impressive boot of 255 litres. On country roads, it's fun. It hasn't got much power, but it has got enough to get you where you want to go, and it handles well. It's got a good front end. When you go around a roundabout, you can tuck the nose in, and it grips. When you're thinking you're going to get some understeer, it doesn't. It really makes the rear wheels work. I looked at the tyres, they're just Nexen 195 45 16s, but then it's only 1,000 kilos. That's quite a lot of tyre for not a lot of weight. And these days, cars have so many electrical systems to try and keep the car from skidding that I don't think chassis engineers have to design the chassis to understeer as early as they used to. Cars from 20 years ago, they'd understeer quite easily just by going around a bit quick. Not so much these days. So it's not just this car, it's in general, but this does handle well, and I was impressed. On the dual carriageway, 70 mile an hour, comfortable. Engine maintains 70 easily, not too loud the engine, but road noise, tyre roar. If I was going to be doing 70 miles per hour a lot, I wouldn't be looking at this car, or any city car in fact, because city cars tend not to have as much sound deadening, so you do hear the road more. I'll be looking for something a bit more premium. Again, I would like to thank Underwoods in Colchester for lending me this Kia Picanto so that I can review it for you. Underwoods deal with Kia, Skoda, Mazda and Vauxhall, and they also have a couple of used car sites. I use them myself, they look after my Mazda MX-5 and I've been very pleased with them. If you found the video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to get my future videos. And until the next one, cheerio.